So, Dan, you know Stugotz and his ways of being, and behaving, and just, things, the way that he is.
Scams and lies.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, but, the weirdest
Well, thank
part
you, guys.
is, this part where it's, an unnecessary lie and an unnecessary scam because, some of his scams and lies lead to personal gain and benefit in some form or another, right? And you're like, I guess that's an understandable scam lie. He's getting something out of this, right? Mm-hmm. This one didn't benefit him in any way, was absolutely unnecessary. We all knew, except the person he was lying to, that it wasn't going to happen, and yet it still occurred. So at the live
Just
show,
so you know, though, his scams are always necessary. They may not always be productive, but he does scam for the sake of scamming. It doesn't have to.
just for the thrill.
That's
I
correct.
love a good
That's
scam.
correct.
Yeah.
Just to go on the joyride, whether it results in anything of gain or not. The gain it's basically enjoying every morsel of life the way that people who are enlightened enjoy life, except the reverse of it, where just the act of scamming itself allows him to live his best life.
You guys are too kind. Listen, I just like to see where a scam goes. I mean, I do.
The thrill of the scam,
right,
really.
yeah.
Have you?
It's like a lazy river.
Can I ask you a question
Thank you.
respectfully? Because I know that this is going to not be
Me
well
or Dan?
received. You.
Oh.
What is the scam that you've gone down, that you've gotten in over your head and you realize I've gone too far?
The one you're about to tell.
No.
Yeah.
Because there's another one that's worse than that that's also currently going on.
Huh.
And it's pre-sales to a book you haven't written yet.
Hmm.
Because that seems like we're down a path that you need to now deliver a book that doesn't exist.
The book is written, Bill.
It's not written. I haven't written the foreword yet.
Well, that part of the book isn't written.
A couple people have written some things.
Better get on that, Dan.
Okay. I mean, the book is written, though.
It's not, but it's not written.
Well, your
not
part's
by
not
you,
written,
Stugotz.
but you assured me you would do it after the Super Bowl, and now the Super Bowl is over, and so I expected
It's
this
just
week.
a copy
Thank
and
you.
paste. That's
Yeah.
all we're missing. Copy
That's
and
it.
paste.
Right,
Couple loose
exactly.
ends.
Get on it.
He asked me to write the forward, and he called it. He spelled it instead of
F-O-U-R.
reverse forward. Yes, he spelled it incorrectly.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Just write it.
Anyways, so the scam that I'm talking about, we had Carrot Top on the show on Friday, the live show, and Carrot Top revealed that he did not have a Super Bowl ticket. He wanted to go to the game, but he did not have a Super Bowl ticket. Mm-hmm. And my sources have told me, and I'm sure you guys witnessed this, that when the show was over and Carrot Top was done, Stugotz went out of his way to promise Carrot Top he was going to get him a ticket to the game. He said, I got you. I can get you a ticket. I got you.
Right.
It got to the point that
The guy was hanging around forever. I mean,
So you told him this so he'd go away?
well, I mean, I just wanted him to leave. Yeah, I mean, I love
That's your way
Carrot
of getting
Top,
rid
but
of
he was
someone.
just like hanging around waiting for Dan to get him a ticket. And I'm like, Carrot, I got you. Okay, I got a ticket for you. I was really taking the heat off Dan. I was doing it for a teammate.
But
yeah.
your plan to get rid of him was to get him a Super Bowl ticket. That would
Yes.
make him move away from you.
Correct. And hope that it would not come back to haunt me.
Well, what happened next, to my understanding, is Carrot Top then gave Stugotz his Carrot Top business card, which is delightful when you see it. He gave him his Carrot Top business card and contact for his, assistant.
Porno Jeff.
And then and then that was passed off, and then, the person that the card was passed off to said kind of like, why are you giving me this card? And Carrot Top said, because Stugotz promised me a Super Bowl ticket. So then now there's other people involved, and there's layers that Stugotz has created between him and Carrot Top and this empty promise for a Super Bowl ticket, right?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, someone reaches out and is like, do you have the Super Bowl ticket? And then that person has to reach out to Stugotz and says, Stugotz, are you getting this person a Super Bowl ticket? To Stugotz replied, I'm not getting that person a ticket. Mm-hmm. So you never intended to get him a ticket, but assured him you would get him a ticket.
He was in the game.
That's the thing. So now everybody hears that you assured him that you were going to get him a ticket. He somehow found his way into the game.
Yep.
He was in a booth with all the celebrities.
Right.
And then the assumption is, wow, Stugotz came through. He got him a ticket to the Super Bowl
He's welcome.
when you did nothing.
What do you mean?
Why would you promise him that when you had no intention of delivering?
I
What
told
did
you
you
the
get out of
reason.
it?
He was hanging around. I felt like he would have hung around forever, and so I just said, Garrett, I got you. And then he left. That's all. I mean, he was going to eventually ask Dan after the show for the Super Bowl ticket.
I don't think so.
I think he was.
I think he did his thing. He said, you think that Dan would have more connections in that town than Carrot Top to get into the game? I mean, he got in.
Well, it is odd that Carrot Top needed me or Dan to get him into the Super Bowl.
I assumed it was just all a bit to do like comedy around.
No,
like,
he didn't. He didn't have tickets. In fact, Valerie and I went to go see him Friday night. He still does a great show. Mike Ryan thought that the Carrot Top we got on Friday morning was coming in off of a bender and was in bad shape. And I thought he was in bad shape only because he had done 70 Radio Row interviews, not because he was coming in off of a bender, because he was just tired of making jokes for, whoever it is that was doing an afternoon show in Des Moines.
I sat next to him. It looked like he had gone through it. Just being honest. Love Carrot. Love
He
Top.
always looks that way.
I was going to say, we had him last year at the Super Bowl. He was kind of like that, too.
Okay, but he did end up in a suite with a lot of celebrities. He ended up with Gordon Ramsay and Guy Fieri and
I
whoever.
pulled some strings.
Was Chappelle there?
Wayne
was
Newton was in that booth.
But the internet thought it was Gene Simmons. There was one clip of like it's Carrot Top and
I
Gene
saw that,
Simmons,
Chris.
and that's clearly Wayne Newton.
They didn't watch the Le Batard Show on Thursday, I guess.
That happened to a lot of people. And I got to be honest with you, it's insulting to Gene Simmons. No offense to Wayne Newton, who's 81.
This is the second time you've now offended him in 4 days.
One of them's 81, and Gene Simmons is not.
Can we talk about when Wayne Newton almost fell out of his chair on our set? Tony, who was sitting right next to
Had to
Wayne
hold him
Newton.
down, yeah.
No, Tony, I had to nudge you. I don't know what you were looking at. Wayne
looking
Newton,
at you.
an
You nudged
80-year-old
me.
man, is like it was like a bar stool like sized chair. And it was like, he was like a little awkward for him to get into, and it started to do the thing where he like just leaned into it and it was going back. I don't know what Tony was looking at, because I was just like, and I nudged Tony to like save him. And luckily at the last second, Tony like got his hand behind. I'm telling you,
Put a paw in there,
If Tony
Dano.
didn't put his paw in there, he was going down. And that's how we were kicking off our interview with him.
Dan was talking, so I was listening to him to see what he was going to say, and then Chris nudged me, and I look
I'm
over.
like, he's going. And luckily it was
Put a
very
hand
slow.
out.
It was a slow fall back. And it was almost horrific.
I still have my top 5 tops.
Let's do it.
Gene
Top
Simmons
five.
is 74, by the way.
Top
Jesus
5
Christ.
tops from Stugotz. This is how he was going to introduce Carrot Top last Friday.
I have OLI.
All right, OLI.
Carrot Top.
Any other OLIs?
Nope.
Number 5.
Rocky Top.
Number 4.
Muffin Top.
Number 3.
Kind you eat, right?
Sports Center Top 10.
Number 2.
Stouffer Stovetop.
Should be number 1.
It's going to kill a live audience, Dan. Call back. Because you remember?
Number 1.
Top Gun.
Apparently, Stugotz's personal record book is right now the #1 bestseller on Amazon Sports Essays list.
Boom! Thank you, audience. StugotzBook.com. Book's almost done.
Sports.
Image
Well,
not
Just
available.
waiting on Dan. I mean,
Number
Don't have a
2,
cover.
Stephen A. Number 1, image not available.
how great is that?
Really speaks volumes to this
People, I
industry.
promise a book is coming, okay? 10 months from now, but it's coming, okay?
It speaks volumes. However, the volumes are not in any way written yet.
I'm ahead of Greedy.
I would love to hear the audio version of this where you're reading the book. I think I would pay more for that than I would pay for the book, where you're reading a book to someone.
Well, I'll charge it up. I'll jack it up, Billy. $49.99 just for you.
He should only be allowed to read the parts he writes, which is none of the book.
Billy, can I get the other scam that Stugotz is running next? Tony is lamenting a bit the throwing of a Super Bowl party, the hosting of a Super Bowl party. I think we can agree that it is much better to go to someone else's Super Bowl party than it is to have to host your own and then deal with all of the cleanup and all of the insanity. Tony, how did you go about making this decision to decide to host a Super Bowl party?
So, Dan, I'm a bit of a control freak, right? So I like when things are done on my terms and I get to dictate what gets done. The thing is, if I go to somebody else's house, then I got to eat what they're eating, then I got to do things that cater to them instead of cater to me, right? So I like to have all that stuff under my roof. So my parents graciously allowed us to do the Super Bowl party there. So we invited, obviously, my family,
Billy,
my
why
wife's
are you
family.
making
Because
faces
you
about
didn't
that?
host the party then.
No, buddy, I hosted. I was going to invite you, but I knew you were going to come.
If
so I
it's
didn't
not
invite you.
your problem
Your
to deal
parents
with at
did,
the end of the
right?
night, you didn't host it.
No, it's my problem because I'm the one hosting. It's just the house is being rented to us to have the Super Bowl party, essentially, right? So I have to make the burgers. I got to make the dogs. I got to make sure that the furniture is all set up. Everybody comes out, has a great time. But then at the end of the night, we got to pick up all the stuff. And it's almost like, look, I want to sit front and center, but I can't, right? I want to drink some alcoholic beverages, but I can't. You know why? Because a good host never drinks alcoholic beverages. They're making sure that everything's happening. Hey, are you good? You need something over here? You need something over there? You want another hot dog? I got you. So I'm a gracious host, and I like hosting. The problem is it's exhausting. I'm exhausted today.
And by 11 p.m., now everyone gets to start
Haul
powering
ass.
down, and you do not get to power down. So overtime arrives, and now you want everybody out of the house, but now this is the longest game ever played in the Super Bowl.
6 hours long. What are we doing? Who's got an extra hot dog? I need one. So, and then there's kids running. Lewis had 3 kids. His brother brought 3 kids. There's another 3 kids. So there's a lot of kids running around. So I have to make sure there's no guard in the pool. The dog's running around crazy. So I have to make sure that the dog is not getting little kids because they're running after everybody. Then I got to make sure the kids aren't in the pool.
Billy and Jessica are getting
Exhausting.
stressed out just looking at you talk about this.
Who needs any of that frustration in your life? What's the benefit? You get to see your people you work with. You'll see them today.
Did you even get to watch any of the game?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was locked in on the game
How?
because I had to stand
Screaming
around the
kids everywhere.
Yeah.
well, they were screaming a little bit further out. I just had to kind of look around, make sure they weren't falling in the pool. You know how it is, Dan. Kids. in the
This is
pool.
coming off a weekend in Vegas or week in
I was
Vegas.
exhausted.
Oh, boy.
I was exhausted. But we made like 40 hamburgers. I was slaving over the grill for like 45 minutes to an hour for each one of these batch of hamburgers. Nobody ate hamburgers.
The party I was at had a two TV situation. So I was like, I had to go outside very early on before the game started and establish dominance over that TV. I turned the
pissed on
volume
it?
up. I turned, because one TV had Taylor Swift songs playing before the game. I was at one of those kind of parties. And outside had the pregame show on, but the volume was muted. So I had to, I jacked up that volume and I established this is going to be the commercials and the halftime show TV. Okay? If you're not into that, get inside. All right? That's where the non-serious people are. This is where we're taking it serious. This is where we're keeping it down a little bit at the right times.
Right.
You got to establish dominance over a
Stugotz,
TV.
we were talking earlier about the idea of if you're having a very strong reaction to the Super Bowl halftime show, Chris Cote was alleging that you have your mind made up before it even starts, whether you're rooting for this or not rooting for it, and then it's going to form your opinion. The question I want to ask you is, do you believe anyone listening to this or any of the millions and millions of people who might have been fence-sitting on what their opinion was on Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce as a relationship, do you believe many minds were changed watching them embrace at the end of that people could believe in the idea, however cynical they were about love, that they were enjoying that moment together in a way that was obvious to me? And I didn't have much an opinion either way on Taylor Swift, anything related to it. But when I saw them together at the end of that, I'm like, how sweet for them that they're able to enjoy intimacy in public with America and get their private moment, or as private as it can be given the circumstances.
You love love, huh? You do. You love to see it.
I mean, I
thought it was a nice moment as well. Yes.
I'm not asking you if it was a nice moment or not.
It was, though.
I'm asking you if people changed their mind. If people who
I think
were
you can count on one hand the amount of people that were like, man, I was so anti this, and now I'm all in.
Right, I agree with Chris on that. For me, it's been great. I don't think many people had their mind changed last night, but I have been a fan of this story the entire season. It has gotten my daughters into football in a way they've never been into football before, and that's a really cool thing.
I feel like it's the same with my opinion of Brock Purdy after the game. Feel the exact same way about him I felt last week. Yeah. I'm like, did a good job.
That Brock Purdy thing is a weird, I don't think anyone knows how to talk about him after this game. It's like everyone's like, he was fine. Okay.
He had some really good throws.
A couple bad moments. It's just everyone just
crappers.
kind of, like she just said, it feels like everyone is exactly where they were on Brock Purdy.
Well, Brock Purdy didn't lose the game. He was not the reason, which is a great case scenario for Brock Purdy. He didn't win it. He didn't lose it,
But he did lose it.
Well, yeah, but he didn't.
But he did.
Well, he lost the game.
But he did.
I feel like
you heard Jamel, if you could understand her earlier, it was Kyle Shanahan.
Shanahan seems to be wearing it more. Like
Well, he should
people
be.
were criticizing what he did.
Yeah.
But he did lose the game.
Brock did lose the game, but was not the reason they lost the game. That's all I'm saying. Not the reason. If he were the reason, that'd be a different story.
Well, he was the reason in that they didn't score a touchdown at the end, and then Mahomes did because Brock Purdy didn't score a touchdown.
But the
Brock
Chiefs
scored.
DBs are so good. I don't know how much you put on Purdy for the Chiefs defense being so good.
Oh, but I'm just playing with the spoofy idea of you're absolutely right. He's not the reason that he lost the game, but he lost the game. And Stugotz's quarterback analysis is always: did you win the game, or did you lose the
But
game?
he didn't lose the game.
But he did
Right.
lose the
No,
game.
Kyle
but he
lost.
didn't.
But he
Everybody
lost the game
No,
forever.
not technically.
He lost
Or-
the game forever.
or
We're
He
gonna have
lost
to
the game.
check out Stugotz's book a couple months from now and see if he won or lost the game.
Bingo. Or Patrick won the game. I mean, you'd say that.
Also-
Patrick win the game though?
Patrick won the game.
Patrick did win the
Yes.
game.
Yeah, he won the game.
Decidedly so.
The rare overtime win the coin toss, lose the coin toss decision.
Right.
Whoever we blame,
With your genius head coach not knowing the rules.
whether we blame Shanahan, whether we blame Purdy, we can all agree it was a heart-racing moment brought to you by Bear Aspirin.
Wow.
That is the one thing
Which
we can
moment?
agree on.
Absolutely.
And
Which
all of them.
moment?
And did you know that heart disease risk factors such as diabetes or high blood pressure can increase your chance of heart attack by up to 2%?
Yeah.
Learn more and assess your heart risk factors at checkyourheartrisk.com. Brought to you by Bear Aspirin, the official sponsor of Fans Hearts.
Dan, I think Cam was right.
About game manager versus game breaker.
On display. Gave you the game manager, Brock Purdy, who was okay, didn't lose the game, didn't win the game, didn't really do anything.
That's what a manager does.
And then all of a sudden, the game breaker on the other side, 4th and 1, runs for 22 yards, makes things happen, throws the final touchdown. Cam's right.
Did you guys hear Jim Nance? I think it was Jim Nance. And I heard this wrong. This is what I heard. And I'm sure someone else heard this out there. He said something along the lines of, I think the conversation about Brock Purdy being a game manager has come to an end. He's a game executive or something like that. I'm like, what?
Yes, he
the
did say
hell
that.
does that even mean?
He did say that.
He's
yes.
been promoted out of middle
What does
management.
that mean?
The American
tier.
dream.
What does that mean? Like,
He's got equity now.
He can afford a house.
he lost, but he's a game executive now.
We're giving him
Golden
a bonus.
parachute.
Wasn't the reason they lost.
Nance worked that out though. Nance was cooking that all week, and you know what? Some of the rejected ones were. He's like, he's no longer a game manager. He is now an executive vice president.
He's got stock options.
What'd you think of Jim Nance being the Travis Kelce hype man on the stage where he was trying to set him up for chance?
Travis yesterday, man, between like shoving Andy Reid a little bit and then like screaming himself hoarse on the stage, I'm like, oh my God.
I would have
he is-
thought that the whole dating
Got a
Taylor
lot of
thing
energy.
would have made him not do the screaming thing on stage. I feel like that's something you do before you're dating Taylor
No,
Swift.
You got to do it.
I mean, he's just being himself, I guess.
Nah,
but
they
it
already
just-
said the L word. He can be himself.
I just
again.
imagine Taylor.
That's who she fell in love with.
I
him to
imagine
change?
Taylor reacting internally to like him doing that and being like, "Ooh, does this work with my brand? Ooh, that's like, you know what I mean? Just a quick moment of
Aggressive.
I hope he keeps this. Like, we don't want to go viral for the wrong reasons here.
I'm surprised that all of you are so cynical that the moment that they shared on the field is something that you just sort of shrugged your shoulders about. That
I was screaming about Kyle Shanahan being a fraud for 20 minutes after that game ended because Stugotz has brainwashed me, Dan. I just don't think like us five are the right audience for like
Not cynical, just
Loving love.
desensitized.
Yeah.
We
I,
seen the love.
I just don't
We've
care.
had a season full of love. We get it. You love
We've been
each
talking
other.
about
Good.
Taylor Swift for months.
Exactly.
With all due respect to the Swifties.
But that's as happy as they've looked together.
Well,
Yeah, sure.
Understand.
Nah, the
Super
last-
Bowl, yeah.
No, I think
Maybe,
the
I
NFC
guess.
or the AFC Championship game. She's like, "This is the proudest," and she like they had audio because the cameras are close enough. She's like, "This is the proudest I've ever been of anyone ever,
and he was like, I'm going to celebrate with the boys.
I love
Hell
you
yeah.
so much.
Okay, I love
Oh,
you.
do you guys think she has a breakup song in the holster?
Yeah,
For if they lost.
Now we're in repeats.
No,
absolutely.
She has a breakup double album.
That's where you're taking it after what I've brought up. That's
Well, I'm just wondering if
that's
We
what
worked this
you're
out on
doing.
God Bless Football,
We
where
did.
we tried to figure out. She has a new album coming out in April. Did she record a breakup song? Just
Oh, so it's-
in
it's-
case,
so it's-
just in case it didn't make it until album
So
release.
it's not
we just
even.
sneaked that one in
it's
there.
something to
it's-
ponder,
So
Dan.
it's not even that it's not original in any way and not the place.
It was
to take
original
the
earlier.
conversation.
I mean, I
but
brought
now
it up
it's-
today. It's something that people. It's not just something
We're
people.
all one show. I mean, same team here.
It's not just that people for 3 months have been saying that same tired.
No, this is new because there's an album
No,
coming
but
out.
it's
Yeah.
also the
Zagacki.
same tired. He already did 3 hours earlier on God Bless Football, so it's not even reheated tired. It's already doubly reheated from the tire that he was doing earlier this morning.
Also stolen because someone else brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay,
True.
so
I
Good
do think
point,
she wrote
Billy.
a song about if the Chiefs lost.
Same team, guys.
he's going to skate on almost knocking Andy Reid over. If he had knocked, you know what? The thing that
Now we're pondering, boys.
I will tell you what I was pondering and what I was hoping. This is what I was hoping. That two things had made that situation exacerbated. One, Andy Reid falls over and has trouble getting up, which is what would have happened to Wayne Newton if Tony hadn't rescued him.
Put a paw out there.
That a boy.
But this part, and I don't think anybody considered this, Andy Reid immediately getting up and then benching Travis Kelce for the rest of the game.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul on fire. Sin City banging like my Hall of Fame foes, so get those stakes up higher. Viva Greg Cote, viva Greg Cote. Lady Luck, please, you're gonna smile on me. Keep those Lobos rolling hard, I know. We're gonna have more fun than the law allows, like an episode of the Greg Cote Show. Viva Greg Cote, viva Greg Cote. Oh, there's a blackjack table and a roulette wheel, a fortune to win with every spin. I'm gonna conquer this city like it's PFBI, so let's let the winning begin. Viva Greg Cote, viva Greg Cote, viva, viva Greg Cote.
I will tell you, Stugotz, and I know you caught me a couple of times over the last week crying, and I didn't talk to you about this, but I will tell you the things that were making me cry the couple of times that you caught me crying. When we were going under and through the duress at the end with ESPN, and there were a handful of times that Greg Cote was coughing, and this was, I'm not even talking about on air, I'm talking about off air when I was on the phone with him. This was before I knew that my brother was sick and dying. I thought almost every time that I was talking to Greg Cote, time is short, I'm going to have to bury my friend soon. Like, it was a very strong feeling that I had on me all the time that was reminded like an alarm, like a siren all the time that he was having trouble breathing and enjoy these moments. Mm-hmm. And when I saw him on the screen, happier than I've ever seen him, keep in mind, my career in radio began with him as the singing sports writer. It was a stupid thing that we were doing, and he ran out of songs like he's run out of back in my day ideas. But he was so invigorated, so lively, so youthful, breathing so well, drinking so much. It's the happiest I've ever seen him, being able to do all of that in front of people, youthful, invigorated, to be able to give a mentor of mine that.
Yes.
When I feared like he was dying 2 or 3 years ago, it was palpably moving to me in ways that very few things ever doing this have been. Just to see the size of it all, the scope of it all, like him, you know, that ESPN forced us to do it ourselves, and we did, and that the result of that was the result of his son being let go, resulting in that particular triumph. was just deeply moving to me to be able to see him steal the show in Las Vegas, us doing it differently than any other media outlet was doing it, with a 69-year-old guy singing to Wu-Tang and introduced by Flavor Flav and
singing in front of Wayne
singing
Newton.
in front of Wayne Newton. Like all of it was just wildly gratifying.
Greg Cote. I mean, he crushed it. He had a great weekend. And Chris, like, I hope you know, and I know you know this, but your dad is a godsend. Like, we love him. And it was so great for, I think, all of us to be able to spend some quality time with your dad outside of these studios, because he's just one of those people that make you smile.
And honestly, more than half a dozen people came up to me individually and was just like, I had a really cool moment with your dad. Like, behind the scenes people, in front of camera
That's
people.
awesome.
It was really cool to spend time with everybody and just bond, and, not as much trauma bonding. To me, I felt like it was, what's the opposite of trauma bonding?
Regular bonding.
Just regular bonding.
Just bonding, yeah.
That's what it felt like to me.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Those are fake bonds. Trauma bonds are the ones that really last. I'm telling you.
Top 5 bonds?
You gone through it together? Oh,
Go Bond.
very bonds.
Barry.
James.
James,
Yeah.
yes.
007.
Stocks and bonds.
The chief.
Munis.
I want to entertain with you guys the hypothetical. We'll talk more with Greg Cote tomorrow about these things, but can we for a second?
I'm sure he won't want to talk about himself.
Right. I'm sure he'll be real reluctant. It'll be a real arm twisting to get him to say he's so dying to run into the studio right now and talk about all the things that involve him.
He'll be here at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Yes, never more prepared than tomorrow. Just to relive the whole thing. I've never seen him so ready to do the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote.
Fine.
I want you guys to entertain with me the hypothetical right now for the last. Let's see if we can do this for the last 6 minutes of this show, hour 2 here together. And this is the hypothetical that I want you to entertain with me, and I want to now talk about it as if we're coming onto the air for the first time today. Travis Kelce has indeed bumped Andy Reid and knocked him over. Andy Reid gets up and benches him. The Chiefs
Wait,
lose.
bench press?
No.
Well, someone that is getting up here.
He gets up with the help of others,
Yep.
like when he was on with Chris Jones, on top of Chris Jones.
Almost a hunk.
And he has reacted to Travis Kelce bumping him the way any God-fearing American of a conservative football league would suggest you have to react. Punish the labor for being bad. And now he's benched and the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl. Let's do that show.
And then Belichick calls.
Right now. Can you just leave Belichick out of a conversation for 6 minutes?
He's calling though, Dan. He's calling.
That is when Belichick is calling. You need a coach who won't bench Travis Kelce in that circumstance.
I didn't bet you Hernandez.
If he calls the hunch, Dan, what do you do?
No, I don't want to do this.
I love sports fanfic.
But you're saying he benches Kelce and then he loses the game?
What I am
He's
saying,
getting crushed today.
Stugotz.
He'd be a wanted man. Yeah. Like if he benched Travis Kelce, I would. Just for his safety, I wish he wouldn't do that.
Does Taylor dump him like right on the spot if that happens? I can't have this. Is bad PR.
Again, you guys are losing sight of one portion of this hypothetical.
The Belichick call.
No. No.
Hmm.
The visual image of Andy Reid tumbling to the ground because of the rage of what everyone will then recognize. Oh, he's big and strong, this Frankenstein who rules this league. He's so big and strong that an old man has been toppled and is having trouble getting up because the tight end is really big and strong.
So he's 65. It's the physical appearance of Andy Reid is what you're talking about.
All of it.
If he does it to Dan Campbell, not a big story, and Dan's not falling.
Is it a Don Zimmer type fall?
Right. It's a great call. Dan, that is a great
The
question.
type of fall
How
matters.
you tumble matters.
Yeah. Is there a little blood on his head?
You guys are ignoring the parts of the hypothetical I have placed in
This
here
is an
that are
important part.
most important. Yes, America has a visual. The Swifties have just seen an old man knocked over by the rage of someone who's got one catch for 1 yard.
Carted off, broken hip.
torn ACL.
Does he come out? Oh my God! What if he coaches the second half in the hospital bed up in a suite? Like what's
Hugh
his face?
Freeze.
Yeah,
Freeze.
that's the guy.
Oh.
But as we learned early in the show, Andy Reid can take a fall. If we can put this video back up. Come on, he can do it. He can fall with the best of them and get right back up. Let's go. Let's see this thing.
We didn't answer Dan's question.
No, this is a fall of Andy Reid's
we
choosing,
didn't
though.
spend enough time
no,
here.
this
Right.
is he was pushed.
chose
over.
to fall. Yeah.
Well, he sort of chose to fall.
Come on now, help me.
Oh!
So close.
I could watch this for the rest of time.
What was he thinking?
I think in the moment he's like, I want to hug this guy.
No, he
Get
was
over
just
here.
standing over him. He was pushed into that. Billy, he had
just fell.
Billy, he had no intention of going missionary position.
How's your uncle?
None.
Dan, does a stretcher come out
Yeah.
for Andy Reid?
Is he in a wheelchair?
How about the blue tent? Does he go to the blue tent?
blue tent.
The blue tent.
What if he deadlifts Kelce?
Tony is right in saying this was so close to him putting his hand directly on the junk of Chris
I
Jones.
could watch this for 10 years.
Groping it.
I love it's
See? Yeah.
That would have been a different
Right.
story.
Pedro
That
threw him
Zimmer
really
thing,
hard,
And that was like
after
3
Kelce.
rolls.
Right.
we're
Pedro
now
really
looking
threw
at
him.
we're now looking at Don Zimmer.
Thank you. For the audio
Yeah.
crew, we now have video of Pedro throwing Don Zimmer by the head to the
That
ground.
was more of a that was like an
Ole.
Ole.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
he
just kinda helped
fell
him
on a
go.
bat too.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Don
He
Zimmer
fell on
rolls
a bat.
3 times.
Yeah, bad visual on the roll.
Man, let me see here.
Look,
One,
there's the bat. He rolled over it.
Wow, he
Yeah.
does.
He
Audio,
had it coming. Let's
Check
be
it
honest.
out.
Triple
Yeah, he
axel.
charged him.
Yeah.
He charged him.
Yeah, exactly
But
right.
Roy, the bat is not Pedro's fault. It just happened to be there.
Yeah, it just happened to be there. Yeah.
For those of you not watching, an 80-year-old Don Zimmer charged at 165-pound Pedro Martinez forehead first.
The police officer starts patting him on
Pedro
the shoulder.
then grabbed a charging 81-year-old Don Zimmer by the ears, and olayed him onto the ground, whereupon Don Zimmer rolled 2 times on the ground. And I will now ask you the question and ask you with 2 minutes left to do the show with me. Travis Kelce has knocked over Andy Reid. There is not a stretcher. It is simply Andy Reid knocked over.
How about the blue tent?
Did he struggle to get up?
There, yes.
He floundered
he
like his
struggled.
arms and legs.
No, Billy.
Like a beetle on
no,
his back.
Andy Reid jumped up off his back like a dancer in the
imagine.
usher.
Like Tyreek
yes,
Hill did.
Like a wrestler.
Andy Reid had no trouble getting up whatsoever. He sprung up like one of Usher's dancers off of his back, never
Dan.
using his legs.
Dan, I'll do the show with you. He could have killed him. That's
No,
pure.
no. Watch out, coach.
Thank you,
That's
Jessica.
pure out of control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them. Oh wait, that's Judd Apatow.
That is
after
Judd
the Oscars.
Apatow after Will
Oh wait, let me
Smith
do it
was
again.
slapped.
Assault.
Does Kelce help him up?
I imagine it being a
No,
thing.
it's
He
not
knocks,
Kelce, huh?
he knocks him down, then Andy Reid does that kick thing where he gets up, and then he turns into like Hulk Hogan, where he's like, "Arr!" and he starts doing the thing, and then Travis Kelce goes and he starts hitting him, and then Andy Reid's like, "Arr!" and then he hits him again, and he's like, "No!" and then he goes one of these,
The Matumbo finger.
Really?
boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
and he's like, kick, and then he bounces off the wall, and he goes, "Whoa!" leg drop on him.
Billy's gonna be really hurt after this, Dan.
Yeah, just like Don Zimmer.
I think he's hurt now.
I think he needs help up too.
Can we just end with the whole Andy Reid? Andy Reid just doing that thing. Put the Andy Reid thing up there.
Do the
Ken.
thing. Do that thing right
Oh
there. Do it.
man, do I love this video.
Billy's not breathing.
I'm gonna watch this for the next month. Come here. Now I've fallen completely, and now I'm gonna try to back.
I can't do that.
Little, how's your uncle right here?
Oh,
He looks down at it to see, like, am I in the right spot here?
get on up here. Yeah.
So you guys aren't going to do what I wanted you to do
What'd you want to do again?
Super Bowl week, Dano.
in any way.
He hit him in the penis.
Whoa!
Go pee pee.